How are we going, everybody? I'm out in the orchard. We haven't been out here for a while, have we? Well, I haven't either, actually. So I just got out here now and had a look and just realised I've actually got olives on my tree. And these, well, what are we looking at? We've got some of them being hit here. Some of them have been hit by a sucking insect, but not all of them. You can see they've got a few holes on them. But they're okay. There's, you know, actually, the truth is I haven't grown them at this stage to this size so that I can pick fruit. I want them to establish more so before I start harvesting fruit. I wasn't expecting to see any because when it was in flower, I can't remember seeing any on it. And look at over this one. Look at this. This has got olives on it as well. This is one that was a topiary, and that's got a round olive on it, so that ain't manzanillo or anything like that. And they've all got a couple of marks on them. That's okay. Like I said, these weren't for harvesting this year, but as we go along, I'm going to have to harvest something. You can't grow fruit trees and not harvest. What am I saying? Tell me off. Have a look at this. Now, this is our kalamata. We are here now. We got it. We've got some growing on. These are ready for pickling. So we'll do a segment on how I pickle my olives. I know a lot of you who have seen it in the past, I've done it years ago, have tried it and actually love it. It's quite nice. You can look it up, Vasili's Olive Preserving Recipe. It's on our YouTube channel. I'm not sure if you find it on any other platform, but if you're a subscriber to our magazine, you get access to all our recipes, all our garden tips, and access to every single magazine that we've published up till date. Plus you get 4 new issues as well delivered to your door. Now, the quick topic here is pruning your fruit trees. Now, I've got this orchard here that's about 200 trees or so, and I've got almost one of every variety, except for the olives. I've grown them in groups of 5 and 10s because I want to do pickles and things like that, but everything else is really one of each variety. So there will be apples there, but there won't be 2 of the same kind of apple. We've got lots of different types, hence why the shape of the trees are so different from one to the other. Now, my aim here is, come along, let me show you. Here's a good one. Well, there's a couple of good examples here. Last year was the first prune, a late April variety. Last year was the first prune. We took the center out of it. As you can see there, it's gone. All right, and we have all these little suckers on the side. Now they've grown out to open up the vase for me. What I've got to do now is take these branches off. See those there? This is what I'll be left with. A couple more here, that's it there. We'll have a nice open vase. These won't get cut off completely. They'll get cut off to a certain point, 2 or 3 buds they can produce again, and we'll see if we can shape them out. The aim with my trees, and if you want to practice the same technique, is to get them to grow out 2 to 3 meters, 2 meters, 2.5 meters out here. So we've got a branch that's hanging out here. That's close to 2 meters. So we've got a 3.5 meter diameter. So if we do the same in all directions, because it's got to be round, we'll be able to have these trees meet somewhere in the center there comfortably without overlapping. Sure, some trees grow faster than others. Sure, some trees like the plums will outgrow the space that we've given them. So it makes it a lot more difficult for you to be able to shape them, because you're going to prune one tree more often than the other. Like the plums that I see over there, they've grown tremendously well. Same time planting, have a look at this plum over here. A monster. Okay, so that's got to come right down. I'm not pruning at the moment because I'm working on shape. If you have fruit trees, and I'm talking about one of every variety of fruit, citrus trees not in the same category. Any fruit tree that's deciduous, that drops its leaves, you want to control it so it can produce more fruit in springtime, you need to prune it now. Pretty much 90%, if not all your fruit trees have finished, maybe quinces, a couple of late variety apples still hanging on the tree. But if your tree's completed this fruit cycle season, get out there and take them down. I'll do another segment on how I prune my trees so you can see how I shape them. You can see every single one almost is completely different in shape. So the technique in pruning is the same. You hold the secateurs and you squeeze them and it cuts the fruit, or the branch off. Sorry, I said fruit because I saw fruit. Look, fruit, little baby apples, okay? Fruit, suckers at the bottom, all right? More apples there. So these are very late season varieties that are producing. So the pruning technique is the same. Cut, 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 cut to an outward facing bud. All the things we talk about roses, do the same thing with your trees. You can't go wrong. You can cut a little bit further away from the bud to cause a little bit of stress to the tree, which causes it to push out and produce flowers rather than a branch. And we'll talk about that later on. But I'll demonstrate on one of these trees here how we prune them down so that we don't get as much growth. And in fact, I think it'd be more vital and beneficial for us to cut a plum tree now rather than late spring, late winter. So by cutting later in the season of winter, closer to springtime, the natural first reaction is for the tree to grow out more so. It's the reaction of a prune. And if you do it closer to the growing season, what's it going to do? It's not going to produce flowers. It's going to react to what you did last. That's the prune, and it'll grow more branches. So if you're looking for more flowers, cut earlier in the season of winter, late autumn when the leaves are fallen off, or a couple of weeks after you've harvested, which is way past the cycle now. So cut it as further away back from spring, so it has a longer period to go dormant, relax, and then adjust itself for flowering. And that's when you start using the superfood. Well, you use it every day if you like, superfood and black grit to get it going. So if you've got trees and they're small, prune later in winter to get more spring growth. If you have trees that are large, prune earlier, sort of late autumn or early autumn to late autumn, and then again a little touch up if you need to in late winter, so you get more flowers and more fruit productivity. If you have trees that are huge, you cut them back now and again in winter a little bit more. But you can actually leave those a little bit later because you'll get a quick reaction from them. So the larger trees can be brought down quite safely in winter, bring it down by half. Olive trees, for example, and I've had a few emails, and I'm sorry for dragging this out, just a quick one for those out there with suckering from the base, cut them off now, don't wait. With trees that are completely out of shape, olive trees, citrus trees, you can cut them pretty hard. Olive trees can be cut back to a stump, literally a trunk like this, maybe a couple of little forks on them, branches that is, and that will burst out and become a little mop top, sort of a ball of leaves. And that happens because the olive tree is quite resistant to dying back like that, a strong invasive root system. Well, I won't say invasive, but a strong root system. So you can cut those back pretty hard. These trees here, young trees, you'll only cut about 50% off. If you cut harder than that, you've gone back into the old wood and you're going to remove too much of the work that you've done already. So caution on how you prune, and we'll talk about how to open up the vase in the trees as well to create that vase shape, because some are growing straight up and we don't need that. So we'll do all that as the season comes on. And folks, I haven't been hands-on in the productive or fruit garden because I've been hands-on the hedging. Now, if you've been following me on our social, we've almost finished about 700 metres of hedging, of conifer hedging. So I'm excited. That means I can get back into the veggie garden and get stuck into my winter crops and show you some great tips and advice that we get there from yourself and obviously from people that I've in my circle of life in gardening. Check out our website, vasilisgarden.com. Everything's on discount every day of the year. Sometimes we drop it more, sometimes we drop it less, but just monitor it and enjoy your favourite products at better prices every day. From me, Vasili, Maresi.